Today, we're excited to champion and celebrate Reggie Ordonez, a Marine Corps veteran who served our country for 12 years with deployments to Iraq, Afghanistan, and Haiti. After the military, Reggie founded Forward Brands, where he helps businesses clarify their marketing messages. He also founded Embrace Process, a nonprofit providing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu scholarships for children. In addition, Reggie is an executive advisor to programming at Warrior Rising, where he supports veteran entrepreneurs in their business pursuits.
Welcome to the MilCom Founders Podcast, where we champion and celebrate military community business founders. In each episode, we will talk with a MilCom business founder to learn how they work through various obstacles and opportunities in business and in life. I'm your host, Rod Loches. Let's meet today's guest. Hey, Reggie, thanks again for meeting with us here today. But if you could just share with us a little bit about your personal story, and if you want to call it your name, rank, and personal story would be fantastic.
Absolutely, Rod. So I grew up in a small town, Bowie, Arizona, population of about 500 people. It's about 15 miles away from the New Mexico border on Interstate 10, if you've ever been on that way. Not a lot there. But I'm thankful for my time, growing up in the desert. There's just a lot that you learn, a lot that you kind of understand, being really comfortable with who you are, where you come from, and your roots. I didn't stay there my whole life. I went to Nebraska and finished high school, and that's where I really started to be shaped, I guess, by the events that happened after September 11th, 2001. And that's when I decided that I would join the military. So my early life, I could just say I feel like everything led me to the Marine Corps, and I'm thankful for what it did for me. I'm thankful for the service mindset that it gave me and the ability to serve, others, I think, is what it comes down to more than anything. And so I was 0313. That's a light armored reconnaissance crewman. At 18 years old, joining the Marine Corps, going through boot camp, infantry school, the crewman course, and spent my time that first years, those years going to Iraq twice. I did a Marine Expeditionary Unit, which is I guess a way for people to understand it. It's like a patrol, but you're on a Navy ship doing it. So I went through the Mediterranean Sea, went through the Suez Canal, Horn of Africa, the Gulf, all that area. So if something were to happen, it would be us that went. But what I really got out of that was a lot of new experiences, new friendships. Got to serve with some different militaries, and that was really awesome. Got to see a lot of different countries. I went to Afghanistan in 2011 with 2nd Light Armored Reconnaissance Battalion, and I finished my tour of duty in the Marine Corps after 12 years of service as a combat instructor, and taught at the Master Gunner course before I left the Marine Corps.
So is that like being a drill sergeant?
That is not like being a drill sergeant, Rod. That's more a combat instructor does not do boot camp. A combat instructor is someone that trains young Marines whenever they, if they're infantry Marines, there's another school, I guess there's 3 weeks, a 3-week course for the non-infantry Marines, but they're training infantrymen, and women, I guess that's what they do.
And why the Marines versus any of the other services?
It's a great question. I always give credit to my cousin, who's more like my brother. His name's Caleb Irick, but I've always looked up to my cousin Caleb, and he wasn't, he'd laugh at this, but he wasn't always the best role model, if you know what I mean. But I saw what the Marine Corps did for him. Like, I remember when he came back from boot camp.
Wow.
And I was like, I don't know what they did to him, but I kind of need whatever that was, or whatever that is, that they did. So I think I'm going to join the Marine Corps. That's pretty much what did it.
That's pretty cool. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So after you got out of the military, what did you decide to do after that, did you have an idea what you're going to do yet, or how did that transition go?
Yeah, absolutely. So I got out of the Marine Corps in 2016, and the honest reason for that was I just felt like it was time to go.
Hmm.
I also have a personal story there, um, on why it was time to go, and it's always one where I'm humbled by it, right? So I talked to you a little bit about the way I grew up. So I had my aunt and uncle that raised me as a teenager, and that's where I joined the Marine Corps from, was spending some time with my aunt and uncle. Um, and I guess the best way to say it is, um, my niece and nephew needed me and my wife, and we decided to leave the Marine Corps to go help with them, and I'll leave
Understood.
everything else out of that. But the beauty of it was, I didn't really put two and two together. I just remember my uncle called me and he's like, "So did you decide to get out?" And I said, "Yes, I've literally burned the ships. Like I just denied my
Mhm.
enlistment, and the world just got a little bit scarier." And he said, "Well, who better to help raise your niece and nephew than somebody that was raised by their uncle?" And I didn't even think of that. So that was pretty.
Wow.
It was very
Hmm.
awesome. And all of a
It's
sudden, the world didn't get as scary as it was. So I really didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, Rod. Once again, so I decided to go back to school. I went to Belmont
okay.
University in Nashville, and I studied social entrepreneurship with an emphasis in economic development. Um, and I was the first person in my family to get a bachelor's degree.
Well, congratulations. That's pretty
Thank
cool.
you. Yeah, and a master's.
Pretty cool.
Who'd have
And
thought?
a master's degree,
Who'd have
also
thought?
from Belmont.
From the University of Arizona, so bear down.
Okay. 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 Got it. Got it. The it's amazing how many veterans I talk to have such a desire to serve others beyond their time in the military. And Reggie, you're an example of that. You have your own nonprofit. Can you tell me just a little bit about that?
I do. I do. I have a nonprofit called Embrace Process. So we help youth that are either at risk, or if we have families that are hard, that don't have a lot of disposable income for their kids to participate in extracurricular activities. We know the benefits of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and what it can do for character development, discipline, and resiliency in a kid's life. So we offer Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu scholarships for those that qualify.
Wow, that's very cool. And you also practice Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, is that right?
I do. So I've been doing it since 2013, 2014.
Wow.
It was a fun story how I got into it. So I was a Marine Corps martial arts instructor, and got my black belt, and I got my tan tab to be an instructor for that. And it was great. But whenever you dealt with those that had some wrestling experience, it's like whenever we got on the ground, it was kind of like, hey, if I'm going to be an instructor, I need to know this stuff. And that probably
Uh-huh.
going beyond the actual martial arts program that the Marine Corps offered. So I started doing jujitsu, and I never turned back. No, it's been a
Wow.
phenomenal ride.
Yeah. It's again, in interviewing other veteran founders, what I've seen a lot of is a lot of veterans find that zen that brings them peace, focus, so they can lock out the rest of the world and just have that. And I imagine that's probably similar for yourself with jujitsu. Is that right?
Yeah, I'd say so. And I think what it is like I probably look at rest a little differently than most, you know, and I think there's a lot of people that would probably agree with this. So, my work day to day since I got out of the military is very focused in front of a laptop. Everything that I do is at a desk for the most part. So for me, rest is actually being active. You know,
That's right.
so if I'm lifting weights, or if I'm going on a run, or if I'm doing jujitsu, for me, that's kind of my rest. If I'm in the
Uh-huh.
yard, if I'm doing yard work.
Okay. And you use that at the organization where I met you back at Bunker Labs.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
would, fun fact. So, after I graduated from Belmont, I had the opportunity to launch a veteran business outreach center for the SBA. And so I was the founding director of Veteran Business Outreach Center that served the states of Tennessee and Kentucky. And I did that for 4.5 years. During that time, I was going back for my MBA and
Okay.
got it. And I was really taking a keen interest in marketing at that time. So I got into this entrepreneurship space with programs, by developing programs, by running programs, but I was more interested in marketing at that time. And
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to learn about marketing. I wanted to think critically about marketing. I wanted to understand what marketing really was and not just what people said it was. I really wanted to understand it from the inside out. And and that's actually what led me to Bunker Labs, Rod. So the reason why I left that position with the V-Box was Bunker was looking for a marketing director in 2021. And
Okay.
that's actually how I got to that organization.
Got it. Very cool.
Mhm.
And now you've got your own business called Ford Brands, and we're doing some work together. You're helping me out, helping us out. But tell me about Ford Brands. What's the vision? What's the mission? What are you doing with Ford Brands?
Absolutely. Well, I gotta start with the real problem in the market, right? So you have founders that are looking to grow, that don't have clear messages,
Yep.
that may not have the best websites, you name it, whatever. And usually what happens is they'll look to a marketing agency to help them with their revenue problem. And marketing agencies will tend to take that money and experiment and throw some spaghetti at the wall, hope it sticks, see what's working. And if you talk to a lot of founders, they'll say, "Yeah, I can't stand marketing. It doesn't work for me. I worked with an agency. It didn't get me anything. So I'm just going to try to figure this out." And the
Mhm.
reality is they didn't start with a brand strategy. And
Got it.
if you don't have a brand strategy to start, then you're really just burning your dollars. And that's,
Mhm.
I really wanted to solve a problem in creating a logical, sequential, realistic, fun, and practical approach to brand strategy. And
Mhm.
that's what I do. And I've been
Got it.
doing it for organizations, and I just decided, I need to go out and do this on my own. So when people hear brand, they think of colors and logos and fonts and mood boards and all of these things. But a brand strategy is focused on customers,
Mm-hmm.
competitors, the position, the message, and the touch points. And so if I can help founders with those 5 things, then I know that they have the keys to the city when they lock it in.
Got
And
it. Very
and
cool.
so the mission was very clear: to help more founders generate more revenue so they
Mhm.
could build their American dream, and the reality is, I started in this space by helping founders with programs, and the business I built was helping founders with their brand strategy.
That's great. Now, tell me about one opportunity or obstacle in your business that you've overcome recently that you think other veteran founders would benefit from hearing. I mean, the whole brand story of building that brand is amazing, but what's one or two specific opportunities or obstacles that you've had to overcome in building your business?
Dreaming is easy, execution is hard.
That's
Even
right.
if you're somebody that has helped people execute, when you're doing it for yourself, it's very difficult. Um,
Hmm.
at Bunker, before I left and started Four Brands and started working with Wear Rising and doing these amazing things, at Bunker, that was my job. I went from marketing director to COO, and my job was to execute. And I'm really proud of what we were able to execute. It's a lot easier to execute for somebody else, you know.
Hmm.
But for some reason, there's these things, dreaming and doing for yourself, and
That's right.
whenever the resources are yours, whenever the money is yours, whenever the time is yours, sometimes you get a little bit of analysis paralysis. And so I guess the challenge in that is being patient enough to give something enough legs to run if you're on the right path.
Mm-hmm.
And also being bold enough to know when it's not working to stop.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
Right.
that's a challenge every founder is going to have is what I'm doing actually working, but you got to be patient enough to do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And how do you make sure that you're dialing in or testing the brand? How do you know is is the right shoe, the right size, the right fit? How do you know that when you've got the right brand messaging and the right brand? How do you know that? How do you figure that out?
It's clear. It's compelling.
Mhm.
Confusion doesn't work. So
Mhm.
if I go to your website and I see the problem very clear and I see who you solve it for and I see the solution that you offer that's compelling and it ties back to that problem,
Mhm.
then that you're on the right path there. If we continue down that, does the tone resonate across every touch point? Does the brand show up in the exact same way across every touch point?
Mhm.
Um, does the price point resonate with the people that you're actually solving the problem for?
Mhm.
So are you trying to sell Rolexes to people that can't afford Rolexes? Are you trying to sell Timexes to people that want Rolexes?
Mhm.
So price starts to come into it. So you're just looking for like a consistent ambience and message. It's a gut feeling, Rod. That's all a brand
Mhm.
is. It's just a gut
Is it
feeling.
is it gut feeling?
It's a
Got it.
gut feeling. That's
Okay.
that's exactly
Yeah.
what a brand is. It's a gut feeling.
So how do you, when you're
Marketing is.
working with
Go ahead.
so when you're working with a crazy client like myself and you're brave enough, and thank you for taking me on as a client, taking us on as a client, and the CEO gets busy, that would be me, and I'm falling behind in my homework and stuff like that. How do you get us back on track? That's got to herding cats might come to mind. Tell me about that. That's got to be a challenge in itself.
I usually pull you along.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so very specifically, I might start working ahead of you. But here's the deal. You'll tell me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Founder does a good job of that.
Got
Um,
it.
my job is to make sure that that's true, if that is the case. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so very specific example. If I'm having a hard time keeping a founder on track, I'll work along because I believe sometimes I'm seeing the end. Like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I feel like I have the answer, and I'm hoping that the founder will come along with me in the ride on the ride and reveal that will be revealed to them
Yep.
within itself, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
the answer's already in you. I could see the answer. I'm just helping. I'm hoping that you come to that.
Yeah. It's
Sometimes
interesting because I would call what you do, what you're doing with us, and you've done exactly that with and for me. Thank you. I would call that leadership. Is you could have just waited till I just fell off the earth, and you could have you know and just, hey Rod, that's you're on your own. Good luck, and wave goodbye to me, and everything. We'd all go our separate ways. But you haven't done that. I would say what you've done is I would call it marketing leadership, because so often for me, it's not about are you a good marketer or are you a good CFO or are you a good X. It comes down to leadership. Are you going to engage? Are you going to lead? Are you going to cajole people at times into thinking differently, to acting differently? And I think that's something I've noticed and appreciated, getting me back on track for this project. So thank you for that.
I appreciate that, Ron.
Yep.
No, and that's really it. Like I mean, with one degree, after customers, after competitors, I was like, okay, I see the position now.
Mm-hmm.
Does Rod see the position? And then it's like, okay, I see the customer, the competitor, and the position now, and now I see the message. Does Rod see the message?
Yep.
And so, and I think that's good for, I mean, anyone listening. I mean, that's really the answer to the question is yeah, there might have been a couple of emails where CEOs are going to get busy. That's a part of it, you know?
Mhm.
So it's like, okay, I'm going to reach back out and I'm going to give them what I see as the vision. And
Mhm.
that's what I meant when I say, I hope you see the vision.
Yep,
And
absolutely.
if it's not, then we're going to have to talk about why it isn't, because it's one of two things. I'm wrong, which I'm always, or I missed a detail, or I missed a specific thing that I need to go back and refocus something that
Yeah.
along the customer competitor and positioning through line, I might have missed something.
Yep.
Or,
Well, I look,
or it's just a matter of helping you see something that you're not seeing.
yep. Well, and I'm looking forward to our conversation on Thursday about this, getting me back on track and getting this moving to the next step. So thank you. What's interesting is there's a VSO, Veteran Service Organization in Baltimore, and I read their site the other day, and I couldn't quite figure out what their value proposition was. And so when I meet these people next week, I'm going to present your firm and you to them and say, hey, maybe this will help you guys get on track and hit your goals and things of that sort. So wait till next Wednesday, and then we'll see how that conversation goes, and hopefully I can make that introduction for you.
Appreciate that.
Absolutely. And then you mentioned something earlier, Warrior Rising.
Mhm.
How are you involved with that great organization now?
Absolutely. Uh, Where Rising is a phenomenal organization. I lead their programs. So, whenever I decided to take the leap into entrepreneurship, I was very, very fortunate to be able to work with Where Rising in that time. So
Mhm.
still on the team. Um, and really what I do is I lead programs for Where Rising. So Jason Van Camp, phenomenal human being, started the organization in 2015, saw a need in the entrepreneurship space, veterans, and he
Mhm.
said, you know what, I think that I could take a 5-paragraph order from the military and break it down into terms that they can understand in the lens of business. That's exactly
Yeah.
what he did. So he was reaching more early stage entrepreneurs closer to that transition, and those that may not have had a business degree was putting it into terms that they could understand. And it was
Mhm.
very successful. So that, and now to date, has become the Warrior Academy. It's 40 on-demand modules at our website, and you can sign up today. That's the first step in the process. The second
Mhm.
is Warrior University. It's 8 weeks, 6 p.m. Eastern time, every Tuesday. Applications are open right now. And the next cohort starts April 8th. I believe it's April 8th. Yes, it is April 8th because applications close April 2nd. And so that's 8 weeks
Okay.
in partnership with Grand Valley State University. And what we do is we'll take, at the end of the course, we will open applications for one of our in-person events. Our in-person events are called business showers. And what those do is we will select up to 8 founders that have completed the university, and we'll look to bring them to whatever city we're in. They'll
Yeah.
pitch in front of judges, and we'll select a winner that night at a gala. Lots of people in attendance, and that person's going to win anywhere from $20,000 up to $50,000, up to
Wow.
more. In Salt Lake City, we gave $150,000. And so it was it's a phenomenal organization. But I like this in the sense that the program exists for entrepreneurs,
Yep.
full stop. Whether you're just starting or you've got some traction and you can demonstrate that traction, you're going to leave with some cold hard cash.
Yep.
Now,
Absolutely. Look, Reggie, I was fortunate to attend the business shower here in Washington, D.C. And I'm telling you, that was a night that I will never forget. Or let me phrase that, I will always remember. In fact, I just got chills just now talking about it. It was that amazing to see the energy that everybody brought to that event, the insights that were shared, the just just a total championing and celebrating of the veteran entrepreneur community was just unbelievable. And I was very, very fortunate to be part of that. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate it. It was a good time. It was a good time.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. So before we go, let me just ask you a couple questions. All right. What's next for you in your business?
So I just opened up a brand new course called, it's a 5-week brand strategy sprint. And so I've onboarded and worked with enough clients now where I'm like, okay, I think that I can put this into a format that's more meaningful for the founder. And so I'm looking at starting the same process I did with you, Rod, but people are going to go through it together. So
Fantastic.
the first week, it'll be me. Well, let me rephrase that. It'll be me teaching a foundational element of the five pillars that I focus on.
Mm-hmm.
In between sessions, you'll have a one-on-one with me, and we'll really fine tune that first piece of that strategy, second piece of that strategy, third piece, because everything builds on itself. So I need to understand customer before I could get to competitor. I need to understand competitor and customer before I could get to position. I need to understand those three before I start writing messages. And I need to understand those before we show up in the same manner across various touch points. So
Yeah,
we're going to go through it together.
Yeah, it's amazing because I remember this past summer I was working on a project and I just sent you my one pager notes or whatever. And I was just asking for your insights, and you were gracious enough to crystallize my thinking in a very clear and concise way. And I was like, yeah, that's what I was trying to say. I was absolutely blown away that you were able to do that. And that's why we have contracted you for your brand expertise, because I was like, I know when it's right for me. I know where I'm going. And that was such a great experience that it was like, wow. I look forward to learning more about that program that you're doing there. There's a lot that I think I can probably learn from that. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
So who's somebody that in the business world or the veteran founder world that you use as an inspiration and you think, geez, that's somebody who's amazing? Who's that?
I got kind of like my Mount Rushmore, so maybe I don't have as many on my Mount Rushmore, but very specific in marketing. Seth Godin is one, so he was the reason why I started reading his books. He was kind of the reason why I wanted to get into marketing.
Yeah.
I found out about who Seth Godin was from a friend of mine named TJ Miller, and TJ was a marketer. And so I give TJ the credit, to put me down this journey. And so Seth Godin was the first person I read, loved everything that I read. And as I started to dive more into marketing, I started to really understand more about copy. I really started to understand more about all the elements and how all the elements work together, and marketing is the sum of its parts, and there's so many different tactics and niche marketing, things that are out there. But I focused on what Seth had to say very specifically. It's all about the customer, and it's all about leadership, and that kind of
say it's all about leadership.
Yeah, it's all about leadership.
Yeah,
absolutely. The way you show up and lead. The next person is a guy named Eugene Schwartz. So Eugene Schwartz is an old school copywriter, and he's been very influential reading his stuff. He's got a book called Breakthrough Advertising, and it's an old classic. And you're not going to find that book available on the market. If you find it on Amazon for cheap, it's not the real one. You got to buy it through a specific company. It's about $100, and it's worth every penny.
Absolutely.
So that book kind of shaped the way I think about the psychology of the customer. And Donald Miller is another one. Building a story brand, his frameworks, clear, concise, easy to understand, easy to follow. Donald Miller is definitely up there with everything. And I definitely learned a lot from Donald Miller, and I got to meet Donald Miller, and he lives here in Nashville. So Donald, if you're listening to this, let's go hang out. But there's something very specific. I took all that and I made it all kind of my own.
Uh-huh.
I didn't steal anything. I might have borrowed, but I took those processes and I took those learnings and I just made them my own. The same way you might learn to cook brisket from a barbecuer, you're eventually going to do different tips and things to make it your own.
Yeah, absolutely. So very cool. Thank you. What's one question I haven't asked you that I should have asked you already?
That's a good question. The question you should ask me is if I could take all of the insights and all of the gleanings from everything I've ever read and anything that I've ever understood or anything that I've ever learned and can put it down into one summary statement about entrepreneurship, what would I say? You're never going to have it all figured out.
There you go.
No matter how much you think you can, no matter how much you plan, no matter how much it's all perfect on paper, the minute you start doing it on your own, there will always be something you didn't think about.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to make decisive actions in real time and decisive decisions in real time. So I like to do if-then statements in my planning. Now, if this happens, then I do that. If that happens, then I do this. And I always got to think of immediate action drills, the same way I did in the Marine Corps, standard operating procedures, frameworks for making decisions. If it worked for presidents, it could work for marketers.
That's right. Good insight. Good insight. So, Reggie, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Very much appreciate it. And to show our gratitude, we're going to make a $100 donation to the Dick Logis Scholarship Fund. He was one of my two grandfathers that pinned my bars on me years ago. And that's going to go towards a military community's child to go to either university or to trade school, whichever they choose. So this is the first year we've done this in honor of that. So it's pretty cool.
That's amazing.
All right. Well, thanks again, Reggie. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you, Rod.
Thanks for joining us on the MilCom Founders Podcast. If you know a MilCom founder with a story to share, reach out to us at milcomfounders.com. For each guest on our show, One Degree Financial donates $100 to the Dick Logis Veteran Entrepreneur Scholarship Fund, supporting education for children of a MilCom business owner. Stay ready.